Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys of the Osage from right here in Pawhuska, Oklahoma at the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum. I'm Cody, one of your hosts. I got old Jimbo over here as always, my rodeo historian and co-host, Jimbo Snively. Hey, what's going on over there, Jimbo?
Hey, Cody boy. It's just another great day in the Osage. We've got a really special guest today. She's another great champion from right here in Osage County. She was the 1985 IPRA Rookie of the Year. And then just 2 years later, 1987, she was the IPRA World's Champion Barrel Racer. And then in 1990, she was the World's Champion IPRA Barrel Racer again. Of course, I'm talking about Charla Hartness Allen right here at Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Charla, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Charlotte, you got to talk into it just a little more. I should have told you before we got started. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you. World champion 2 times. And what else did we miss in there? A national championship?
National championship in 85, yes.
A national championship in 85, Jimbo. You're slipping.
Well, I knew we were going to talk about it later.
Oh, okay.
I can only remember so much.
That's right. Charla, what's your earliest memories riding horses around here?
I started when I was about 5 years old at the junior rodeos here in Pawhuska. Yeah.
So your mom and dad, they'd start taking you to the junior rodeos here at 5 years old.
Well, we didn't have a horse trailer, so we had to ride to the rodeo. So anyway, yeah, we started out here. They had junior rodeos on Friday night and then weekends and stuff like that. And we'd ride out there, and the whole bunch of us, I had a bunch of cousins that lived down the road, and we'd meet up and ride out there and then ride home at night.
Did you always live where your dad lives now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I
was
couldn't
raised
remember when you moved. I mean, how long you lived there. I knew Lefty Robinson lived there at one time.
there. Yes, that's my uncle. And
Yeah.
his wife's my aunt.
Yeah. Cool.
What was your pony's name back then?
I don't remember. I rode so many different young horses or
You don't remember your
ponies and
first?
outlaws when I was young. So
She's rode so many of them.
Yeah.
Don't even remember
my
her first one.
really good one was when I was 10 years old. We called him Paint, and I bought him off of Justin Patterson's sister Joannie, and he stood about 13.2 or 13.3, and there wasn't very many big horses around here that could outrun him. I'd go to open rodeos. Outrun him at open rodeos. I even got my hat from her, and I was more famous for my hat, I think, than I was running barrels. And there was a lot of times my dad would hear people betting to see if I was even going to lose my hat. They would bet to see if I'd lose my hat.
Oh, yeah?
And I wouldn't.
Your dad was a pipeliner, and I'm sure he's gone a lot. I guess your mom had to haul you all around a lot, didn't she?
Yes, sir. She did. She didn't ride or anything.
Right.
But she hauled us wherever we wanted to go.
Yeah.
Where all would y'all go when you were young? When you started hauling a little bit?
I started out in the Oklahoma Junior Rodeo Association. That was all over Oklahoma. It was 19 and under. They started with 12 and under, 13 to 15, 16 through 19. And I started in the 12 and under there right after I got Paint. And I would have been about, I was 10 when I got him. So when I was 12, I won the all-around championship in the OJRA off of that horse. So
What all events did you do when you were young?
I just run barrels, poles, and goat tied then. We didn't break away or nothing much. So I just barrels, poles, and goats.
Did you always have that roping arena there by your house, or did that come later?
As far as I can ever
As far as you can remember, it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brothers were ropers, weren't they?
Yeah, both my older brother, Alan, he roped calves, and then my younger brother, Sean, he roped calves when he was in the junior rodeos, but then after that, when he got out of high school, he just went to work. So.
You've heard of a roping arena out your back door. They literally had one out their back door.
Yeah, I see it over here. Right over there at her dad's house.
Yeah.
So, Charla, cavalcade. Turning 75 years this year.
Yep.
What kind of good memories do you have from the cavalcade?
Well, a lot of good memories. That's where I tried Paint, actually. I was 9 or 10 when we tried him there at the cavalcade, and we bought him right after that. And I would say that's kind of what really got me going, there, the cavalcade. A lot of good experience there.
A lot of good experience at the cavalcade.
Yeah.
All right. She don't want to tell us what all she did at the cavalcade.
Well,
Right,
we
well-
was young men, but
Yeah.
when I got older and got up in high school, I didn't compete in the cavalcade as much because, we went to high school rodeos some. And then when I graduated high school in 84, that's when I'd run this horse in the barrel fraternity right after I graduated. And then the year after that's when I started my professional career.
So you didn't start your professional career till you were
19.
19, 2 years out of high school.
I was actually 18. I hadn't turned 19 yet.
Your first professional horse you were hauling, was that Paint?
No.
Different horse.
Pedro.
Oh, Pedro.
Yeah,
Right
that's the
right
first
off the
one.
bat.
That's the one I won the fraternity on, and then I started hauling him professionally when he was 5.
Where'd y'all get Pedro?
We bought him off of Bud Moody at Copan, Oklahoma. He's 3 years old.
Did you break him to ride?
No, he was broke. He wasn't broke like we wanted him, but he was. You could get on him and ride him. But my dad and I finished him and started him on the barrels. And my dad roped a lot on him before we run barrels on him, actually.
Your dad used to rope calves and stuff, didn't he, back in the day?
Yeah, when they had the Friday night roping
Yeah,
out here.
yeah.
Yeah, he and his brother would rope
Yeah.
if they were home from a job.
I remember his brother Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember him well. I can vouch for her family too. Her mom and dad was really nice people, but I'm old enough to remember her grandpa, Ezra.
Ezra.
And Cody, he had an old Ford tractor, and he'd plow people's gardens. And you'd see, of course, it didn't ever put it on a trailer, just roaded it wherever he was going to go. He even took it all the way out to our house and plowed our garden. He was, if he could be here today, he could tell some history on Osage County because he worked some of the roads. So he told me one time that he actually opened our road up down to our house back in the 20s, I guess, before it was even a road. He was the one that graded it and made the right of way and the whole deal. So he was quite a character himself.
My great-grandfather, the house that's on the highway going towards Barnstall when you come from Neelogany, McPherson's lived there. My great-grandfather moved up there with a team of horses.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a lot of people live there.
What about Pedro? How much did y'all give for Pedro?
I believe we gave $1,000 for him.
$1,000. Mm-hmm. We had Wenda Johnson in here last night, and she said it's not uncommon for a good horse that looks like he might be a good one to bring $250,000 to $600,000 right now.
Yes.
Different day and age.
Different day and age. And my dad could have sold him to Paul Lee Foreman. Matter of fact, within a month after we had him, and he didn't do it. And then right after we got him started, all we could do before we ran in the barrel fraternities is you couldn't run for money. You had to exhibition. And we had exhibitioned him at Oshaleta at Eastman's Arena before we'd leave some of they'd have calf ropings over there. And a man came up to my dad and says, what will you take for that horse tonight? Dad says, it'll take $3,500. And this man said, I'll give you $2,500. And Dad said, no, can't do that. It takes $3,500. And he said, I got 25 $100 bills on me tonight. And he said, it takes $3,500. I'll take a check. I know where you live. And it didn't, of course, luckily didn't get sold.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness we might be having a different kind of talk today.
Yeah.
Might be having a different kind of talk today. What about the barrel training on Pedro?
He was pretty easy, but he was a real athlete. And we rode him a lot, though. He was broke. We'd ride him a couple times a day. There was times he'd get so tired he'd try to cow kick you when you get on him. And I started him actually at Slim Dotson's arena, Osage Sports Arena in Neelogany is where I started that horse. And, it's narrow. I don't know if you'd ever been there. Lauren has. It's real, and Jimbo has. Mm-hmm. It's real narrow. And my dad told me to get up in the heading box. He said, I want you to run towards that first barrel. And I said, Dad, it's not going to give him enough room. And he said, if he can't turn it, I don't want him. And and held it. But I trained several good horses in that real small indoor arena there. Mm-hmm. I liked it better than training them in a big pen because they get to watching, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Charla, who helped you learn to train barrel horses, or was it all self-taught on you?
Well, actually, my dad helped me a lot with my horsemanship when I was younger. But I was fortunate also, too, you know, like the little paint horse, stick me on something that was broke and knew what they were doing. You learn the feel of what you want and what you like. But then when I got older, I was about 12, I think. I went to a barrel school in Hutchinson, Kansas, and it was a Martha Josie Barrel School. It was a weekend clinic. And I went to 2 weekend clinics, you know, through my career, and I stayed a week at Josie's when I was 13 years old. And they helped me a lot and everything, but basically just riding a lot of good horses and learning the feel that you like and you want, you know. A lot of riding.
Did you ride bareback a lot?
I did when I was a kid, yeah. Yeah, I did. We had one saddle, and Mama wouldn't saddle because my brother told her she didn't know how to do it one time, so that was over. And so we just had to ride bareback. And like I said, I had cousins that lived down the road, and they'd come to our house one day, and we'd go to the east and ride all over the country, and the next day we'd go to their house to the west, and we'd ride to the west. It was like in the summer, it was every day. We rode every day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Well, it's just interesting because, you know, we had Lynn Starr in here just the other day, and she was telling us how important she thought it was if you're going to be a great rider to ride bareback. And then we had Wenda Johnson in here recently, and, you know, she's one of the greatest, I'm going to just have to call her a horse jockey right now, in the world, period. And she said most of her success, a big part of her riding success, is from learning to ride bareback. And they went to extremes. They used to spray show sheen on their horse's back, her and her sister, and try to stay on bareback. So it's just, I'm just wondering, you know, I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together here to see if you rode bareback a lot when you were young.
Yeah, it lets you feel that horse, you know, and get that balance and everything. So yeah, we did a lot.
Your rookie of the year. Mm-hmm. That year you went. Did you go by yourself? Did you have some hauling partners? Did your mom drive you everywhere?
No, I hauled with my brother and some other calf ropers. There would probably be 6 or 7 of us in a rig. And I had a 1-seater Chevrolet dually pickup with a camper. And there would probably be 6 or 7 of us in that truck and trailer to go in. And we had a 5-wide WW stock trailer and had hay bags, buckets, everything hanging off the side.
No mangers.
No mangers. It was straight load, and said it looked like a bunch of gypsies going down the road.
When did you first realize you had the horsepower to maybe go hit the road and really accomplish something?
I knew he was special, you know, right after we started him. And back then you could go to open rodeos and exhibition. And when I exhibitioned him, I didn't just go slow. I exhibitioned him, I made a rodeo run. And I knew then, when he was early 4-year-old, that he had what it took, because I was my time, because they let us run on the same pattern as, you know, the rodeo, and he would outrun them then.
Where all did you have to go to win that Rookie of the Year? Some of the places you went back then?
We went a lot back east in the building rodeos. My first rodeo was Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I had worked for my uncle in the oil field at Chapman, up above Chapman Barn and Ranch, actually, before that. And the horse was real quick, and those buildings were real small. And I hit some barrels at the first few, you know, being green and everything. And when I got to Chattanooga, I had just enough money to get there. And that was my first win. And because those buildings were small, they were like 12, 13-second buildings, you know. And so we went to a lot of those, like Columbus, Ohio, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee, just back east. More.
Yeah.
Did you make the finals that year you won the?
Yes. In 1985, I was Rookie of the Year and the national champion. And the reason why I was crowned national champion that year, to become world champion, you had to win the average at the finals.
Okay.
And he had gotten injured a little bit before those finals, and I hit a couple barrels that kept me from, he had to win the average to be the world champion. And but I always feel like that was meant for a reason. There was a horse called Go Rudy Go. He was from McAllister, Oklahoma. Sherry Hearn Blair rode him, and they honored him that year. And that was his last year at the finals, and she won the average. So I really felt like Go Rudy Go needed to go out. Because he was 3-time champion with Jimmy Biff Powell, and then Sherry Hearn Blair was 2 times world champion on him, I believe. So I just kind of feel like that was for a reason that Go Rudy Go needed to go out as a champion. So.
It's nice that you were rooting for some fellow competitors.
Yeah. Well, her mother, Sherry, was real young. They gave a Jeep away that year, and she wasn't even old enough to drive it. And her mom let me take her out driving around in it because she said, we know who the real world champion is because you won it over the whole year, But I just was glad that Go Rudy went out like that.
I'm going to circle back real quick, Charla, to something that maybe everybody don't realize what it is. So you were talking about futurities and barrel horse futurities a minute ago. So there's a lot of people that are into the Western way of life, but they don't know what a barrel horse futurity is and what you were competing in that. Can you explain to me what that is in Jimbo?
Yeah, at that time, a barrel futurity was for horses 4 years and younger. And when I ran him, he would have been 4, and that was in September of his 4-year-old year. And I had graduated in high school in August. He could not have run for money until after December 1st of his prior year. So to train them and run them for any money prior to December 1st, you couldn't do that. So any fraternities you were in their 4-year-old year, that would have been their first money year. So he had just turned 4 whenever we ran him down there. And that's what they mostly run them at is 4-year-olds.
They wait till as long as possible
Yes.
before the futurity, so they're as old as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what a barrel futurity is, Jimbo.
I always wondered.
I've always wondered too. My mom used to run on them. She won the big barrel futurity in Guthrie one time where they gave a trailer, one of the few things that used to give a trailer away back in the day. So, but I was just a dumb kid and I didn't know what that barrel futurity
They were
was.
small then.
Yeah. I was a little bitty old turd then, Jimbo.
Right. Short hair and everything, probably.
Yep. Short hair.
So did they always have the IPRA finals at Tulsa?
When I ran, the first few years they were in Tulsa, yes. And then the last year I won the world, it was in Oklahoma City.
Really? That was probably after they moved the RCA to Vegas.
It was a while. It was, was 84 the last year they had the NFR at Oklahoma City? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's either 85, 86, or 87 when they started in Vegas. I used to have the videotape at the house. We videotaped at night one night off the TV.
Which place did you prefer?
I liked Oklahoma City.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a little bit bigger. I liked it a lot better.
Yeah.
So it was the year you won the world. Let's jump to that year.
87.
1987. Tell us a little bit about that year. First world championship. Rookie of the year. National championship. 85. 86. What the heck happened?
Pedro got hurt at the region finals, actually, after 85. So he was out part of the season in 86. And he pulled a check ligament, which we were talking about Lisa Payne earlier. And she's the one that helped me get him well. And some of her racetrack trainings.
Yeah, her dad was one of the best leg men in the business, actually, Gene Herron.
Yes.
So, for sure. So he was hurt in 86.
And I think I rode another horse at the finals. I borrowed a horse from a lady in Georgia, I believe. And I didn't fare too well on her, but brought him back in 87 and won the world.
How many rodeos did you go to in 87? Do you remember?
Probably about 75.
That's a lot. Most of them back east. And
A lot of them back east, Oklahoma. We go to California, Arizona. And some, not a whole lot, but they were mostly east.
Yeah.
In the southeast.
Right.
What about Canada? Did you ever go to that big IRA rodeo in Canada?
I did not. One year, my brother and I, we were hauling with Tom Walker and Beth Walker and Danny Hamilton and Stephen Perry. He's from southern Texas. And they all went to Canada, but I felt like my horse needed to stay home and have a rest. So that might have been 87. And I stayed home and let him have some time off. Yeah. So I never did go.
Okay. That's fair enough. She had to give Pedro some time off.
Right. He probably deserved it.
He did. You know, we're talking about futurities again. I read something here a while back. Charla Hartness Barrel Futurity, Pawhuska, Oklahoma. What was that, Charla?
The Roundup Club actually sponsored that, and I believe it might have been Gerald Holt's idea for that fraternity, if I'm not mistaken. And they wanted to have a barrel fraternity here, and they asked to name it, put my name on it. So they had a fraternity and a derby, and what a derby is 5-year-olds and younger. And then they had a sweepstakes, which is an open run.
It looked like it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, there were
Well
some
attended.
big names there. Celie Whitcomb Ray, she won it one year. She's no longer with us, but she's probably one of the best there is. I could sit and watch her all day. Learned a lot from going there and just watching people.
Cody, did you ever see the sign that was out the fairgrounds? Were you here when it was still up?
Yes, I've seen the sign.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the Roundup Club.
Yeah.
I think Joe Sweden might have had something to do with that. I'll get that going.
Yeah, we got a great picture of it, a newspaper clipping, I think, of it going up in here in the museum,
That's
Jimbo.
cool. That's cool.
We'll share it on a picture of it on the picture reel at the end of this one, so everyone can see that great sign they used to have to Charlotte. We actually got part of it out here.
Oh,
that
really?
They brought us to us.
Well,
We're going to be
neat.
displaying in the museum real soon.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh yeah. Charlotte, how did your life change after winning the world in 1987?
Didn't really.
Didn't really change that much.
No, I mean, started riding a lot more, some outside horses. I started getting a few horses to ride for people, but rode more young horses, started trying to train a few more and stuff like that. But it really didn't change a whole lot to me.
And then we got 87 to 90. What happened in them couple of years between them 87 and 1990?
I was riding more colts, not going as much, and Pedro had been going since he was 4 years old, and I think he was getting a little bit tired at the time, had a little rest, and back then I had one horse to haul, where a lot of people now have 2, 3, 4 horses, and it was only him, so he got a little tired, so I just kind of slacked off a little bit.
Well, it's not like the trailer rigs nowadays where, they're real nice and, they got these specialized boots they fill with gel and air and all kind of stuff. But whatever it takes to keep your horse sound going up and down the road, because that's a real beating on them, especially back when you were rodeoing strong.
Yeah, and I took real good care of his legs. I knew how to do that. I wrapped him. He never left the place without a set of wraps on. And I mean wrapping like they do at the racetrack. I didn't do the Velcro wraps or nothing. And he was rubbed down. He was treated like a racehorse, actually. Took real good care of him. It's just, I think, the highway miles, the runs don't hurt him so much as the highway miles. And he'd just spent a lot of miles. And it was just kind of time to maybe ride a few other younger horses and try to get something else going and stuff like that. So just kind of backed off a little.
So he came on back strong in 90. Was that what he's riding in 90?
Yeah.
Okay.
That year, I was going with my brother and a few other guys, and they kind of got off the beaten trail with me and was going to some pro rodeos. So we were fixing to go to California, and I didn't have a way to go because my brother and some others was going to some PRCA rodeos. So I talked to Jack Wiseman. He was from Hartshorn, Oklahoma.
Bulldogger.
Bulldogger. And I asked him, I said, can you make me a hole to go to California with you? And he's kind of looked at me like, you know. And I said, if you make me a hole, I won't get out. I'll be in the rest of the year. And he did, and I stayed with him all year. And he helped me get to another world champion.
Yeah.
Jack Wiseman, he was a good fella. He was a good fella. I think he just fell off. Didn't he lose his balance here a while back, and he fell off and hit his head and never did quite recover from that. But president of the IPRA at one time, Jack Wiseman, she was hauling with the president.
Well, when did Pedro kind of play out and you had to retire him?
I slowed down after the year 90. I think I made him again another year after that, maybe 93 or something like that. But I got married in 91, so I was riding a lot of young horses and fraternity horses. Took some horses to the Fort Smith fraternity in 93, I believe. Won second there on a horse at Fort Smith, and just kind of backed off a little bit. And then my first daughter was born in 96. So she rode him after she got older. My niece rode him, and another little girl named Jessica Sears rode him. So he didn't really get retired till he was probably about 23.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my niece won a saddle on him, and Sage won a saddle on him, and Jessica Sears made the high school finals on him.
That's cool.
You're not the only world champion in your family. Direct family. Your brother, he's a world champion.
Allen, yeah. He's the AQHA world champion calf roper.
The American Quarter Horse Association, Jimbo.
That's cool. I used to know Alan pretty good. Where's he at now?
Locust Grove.
Okay.
He just still ropes every day.
Yeah, that's what your dad had told me a year or two ago. He said he was still roping and fooling with those horses. And must love it.
And we got his world champion trophy in there for everyone to see. It's right underneath Charla's world champion saddle, though.
Yeah.
Hers is right above Alan's. So hers is right above Alan's. Charla, your husband Gip.
Yep.
When did you meet Gip?
I met him in the summer of 1990.
Wow, 90 was a good year for you.
Yeah. Well, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody don't know Gip. He's you can tell them about Gip real quick. Rodeo historian over there.
Well, he was a steer roper. Of course, he's Guy Allen's brother and James Allen's son. And he used to come out to my house and rope quite a bit. Delbert had some cattle, and he was working for Delbert. And I roped a lot in the practice pen with Gip. And just a real nice guy and a really good roper, you know.
Several time national finalist.
Absolutely.
Ben Johnson steer roper winner.
Yep.
First family where father, son made the national finals too. The three.
Yeah.
Your family was the first father, son.
Right.
Her married in family was the first father, son.
Yep.
So
It's pretty cool.
small world right here. Small world right here. What about your girls now? Are they carrying on any of the family traditions, Charla?
No, Sage, she roped through high school and through college. And after she got out of college, she got kind of burnt out. So she's working now. And my youngest girl, Blake, she rodeoed in the junior rodeos. And she won an all-around championship when she was about 9, I think. And she just kind of wanted to play basketball and other sports. So that's the way she went.
They're both very talented in the rodeo field, if that's what they wanted to do too. So
Charlotte, I drive by your house quite often for my job, and I notice your roping stays worked up all the time. What do you got going on out there?
We're trying to train some roping horses, actually, more than anything. We've got 3 really nice horses out there right now. If we quit raining, Gip heading on 2 of them. Going to trip steers on one of them. Maybe he'll get him going. And then we got one we're starting in the breakaway.
Yep.
Yeah, breakaway horses are kind of hot commodity right now.
Yep. You sure got a nice place and nice arena.
Oh, thank you.
Pretty.
A lot of work.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. You keep it looking nice.
Thank you.
They got a great place over there.
Yep.
Great place. Let us know if you ever want to sell it. Move out there. I like that place.
Yep.
That's where Pedro's buried there, right by that flagpole.
Really?
And then Gip's steer horse is buried right there. His one he's been to national finals on so many times. And
Yeah.
Casey Jones rode him several times at the timed event when he won his championships there. But they're both buried right there, head to head.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Jimbo, do you got anything else for Charla today?
Well, thank her for coming in, naturally. But, time gets away from us. And it's been several years since she won her championships. But she's got a beautiful display case there in this museum. And we're certainly not going to let anybody forget all the championships she's won. And that she was one of the best barrel racers ever, really, to be honest with you. And we're going to keep that history. And like you say, you've done a good job with the displaying her stuff here in the museum, and we're not going to forget about it.
Yeah, we're real proud of her and her horse Pedro and her dad Tim and her brother, the other world champion in the family, and her husband, the other national finalist, world-renowned cowboy in the family. And, we're real proud of the whole crew over there. Charla, I always ask someone a question every time we start rounding out one of these. And the more I got to talking to you, and the more we talked, and the more I thought about your horses, horse care. Your horses lasted a long time. Gip's horses lasted a long time. Hey, can you give somebody, it don't even have to be for the younger generation. It could be people that are just dumb about horse care. What can we do to make these horses last longer like you guys did? Because your horses, your kid rode them. So, and Casey Jones rode him after Gip had done retired and won the timed event on Gip's horse. He lasted forever. So, what kind of advice can you give some folks on longevity on your horses?
Just, I would, watch your miles. Like I said, the miles is what gets them more than the runs. Map out, and I know these pro girls do. They map out their travel and stopping, taking care of them, take care of their legs, find the feed that agrees with them. And, it's just, you pretty near live with them 24/7, and these top girls do that. But, you have to spend a lot of time with them to know if they're getting burnt out, if they're peaked out or they're coming off a peak and need a little rest so they can go back. It's just spending a lot of time and, know your horse to take care of them.
Do you think spend a lot of time to make the horse instead of rush it?
Yes. We spend a lot of time with one. I know Pedro, we had him about a year before we run him for anything. We actually had him over a year because we bought him when he was 3. And I could have run him the next May at Fort Smith and probably would have made the cut, but we chose to wait a few more months, give him a few more months. So we took quite a long time, and that's the way Gip is now with his horses, is we like to, get them solid before you really start hauling them.
I see a lot of people, they really rush it, I feel like, and I feel like it's just me from the outside looking in here that's part of the longevity problem, that nobody gets a longevity out of their horses anymore. They as soon as they broke them to ride, they started roping or running on them and just in the arena, and that's it. They never really broke them to ride, I don't feel like.
And we like ours broke because I like one to, when I tell him to go over here, I want him to go over here, move off your hands, move off your feet and stuff like that. So just like I'm really broke.
Some great advice from one of the best horsewomen to ever live right here, Charla Hartness.
Absolutely.
Charla, we so appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you, Cody and Jimbo.
Wish you'd have brought Gip with you, but she made him stay at home.
Yeah.
Well, we're so proud of you, and we're so proud of all your accomplishments. And like Jimbo says, we don't want anybody to ever forget we got a 2-time world champion here, Charla Hartness.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Cowboys in the Osage. If you want to learn more about Charla, just like Jimbo said, get over here and see her display. It's awesome. You can learn all the great, cool stuff she did throughout her whole career. And like, I just can't say that I'm proud of her enough. Just proud to know her and I'm proud of the person she is. Thank you, Charla, for coming.
Thank you.
See everybody next week, right here on Cowboys of the Osage.